Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Inside NDF, sponsored by National Dance Foundation. Every week, we introduce you to another member of the dance community, one of those movers and shakers who are taking the lead in education, innovative ideas, working with other teachers, and really to help the community grow. This week, we are very happy to introduce you to someone I've known a long time and are privileged to know for many years, Hedy Perna of the Perna Dance Center in Hazlet, New Jersey. So I always start out, Hedy, and I ask everybody to tell us a little bit about yourself and why you became involved in dance.
Oh, great. Hi, Kathy. Thank you for having me. I'm very excited because National Dance Foundation is very, very, very important to me as even for my whole studio and my whole life. It's always been about what National Dance Foundation messages. So going on to how I started, and we've been friends for a long time, so you know
Well,
this.
we won't tell everybody how long, but a long time.
Long time, yeah. So I started dancing. I was never going to be a dance educator ever. I was going to be the next Cheetah Rivera or Gwen Verdon. That was
Good
it.
goals. Good goals.
Yes, good, big, yeah, not low goals. And I was always singing and dancing, of course, and auditioning. I started auditioning when I was in my late teens, and then in my early 20s, I had my first vocal surgery. And so back then there was no miking. This is showing how old I was. You weren't miking, you had to belt it out. So I always passed the dance auditions, and then the singing auditions started to get really, really bad. So along the way, while I was doing these auditions, singers that were great singers would always reach out to me and say, can you teach me basic time steps? Can you teach me some basic things to get through an audition? The singers, because they could sing, but they were having trouble with the dance audition. So it was like role reversal. So that's how I started teaching. I never was going to do this. So after my second vocal surgery, I said, okay, that's it. I have to give that up. And then just dance became the natural progression because I was already teaching, not teaching children, not in a studio setting, but teaching people to get through the audition process like peers of my own. So that's when I started teaching. But I always loved dance and theater. And I was raised in a household where my parents allowed me to watch the $1 Million Movie late at night. Like if Fred Astaire was on for a whole week, I would like set the alarm, sneak down to the living room and put it on. So I would always watch all the Fred Astaire movies and dream that when Holiday Inn came out, that I got to see because it came out in the 30s. But when I finally got to see it, I said, if I ever have a dance studio, it's going to be like Holiday Inn. I'm going to celebrate every holiday. We're going to dance.
And you do.
I do. And that was definitely my influence, was that movie. That's so funny. So that's a little of the background, how I started, because I was never going to be a dance teacher, dance educator, own a studio. Oh, no. Oh, no.
I love that about Holiday Inn because for those of you who are going to talk about your studio in a minute, I lived in New Jersey, not far from Hedy, and her studio was known for their recitals with their props and their extravaganza. Everybody wanted to be like Hedy. So that's so funny that you patterned and celebrating all the holidays after that movie. Yeah. I love it. So now you have a studio. How did that come about?
That came about because I was working in corporate. I was working for Exxon. My parents said, my parents were Exxon people. Back in the old days, you got a job and you stayed at that company forever. When I told my parents that I was leaving, because for Exxon, I was working for Exxon doing events. So I was like their event planner. And this is in the 70s or 80s, yeah, when they had money. So then I said, I've always wanted to dance. My boss at Exxon, God, it's so funny this is coming up. He came in one day and he brought me into his office and he said, I know what you do, because I was still dancing on the side and stuff like that. And he goes, you gotta find your way to do what you love. And that's how it started. That's really how it started. Yeah, it was him, because he knew that, beyond this. That is so funny. I haven't thought about that for a
So
while.
fun. And Hedy, back in the day, it was like, that's great, you like to dance, but what will your real job be? So
That's
Exxon would be the real job.
that would be exactly what my parents were fearful of.
Yes. What would be your real job?
Well, do you remember, Kathy, when we were younger, the people that owned dance studios, that was their hobby. Their husbands had a real job. This was just, they wanted to dance. And the funny
And
thing
it was
is,
all ballet. It was a lot of ballet.
it was
Maybe
a lot of ballet. You're right. A lot of ballet and Hawaiian dancing, Tahitian, all that, all the vaudeville stuff. However, I think because of that, I never went into my business that way. When I did open, I took it very seriously as a business, maybe because of my business background through Exxon and my father. And I said, this is a real legitimate business. And to this day, with 36 years, no one has ever, since I've opened my business, seen me and said, what's your real job? Never. I've heard people say that, but no one has ever said that to me. So maybe I make it look so hard. I don't know.
No, we run a fabulous studio. It's been very successful. And the interesting thing is, you did not jump on the competition wagon. So you're not a competitive studio. I mean, I know what you do, but what activities do you get involved in? Because you do a lot. You gave your students a lot of performance opportunities.
Yeah. Originally, for the first 10 years of my studio, we did compete. And that was the days of showstoppers.
1 first, 1 second, and 1 third. Those were rough days.
When you got an honorable mention at Showstoppers and you were in the 9 to 12 category and there was, 40 in there and you got an honorable mention, you would kiss that honorable mention. You would run, be so happy and so proud. I mean, those were days. I'm talking like Tony Grant. I'm talking about Nada. Nada. Boy, is that a name from the past. I'm talking about like Showstoppers to me is really one of the, in this area was one of the first competitions. So
granddaddy, I always thought of them like like maybe grandmother,
yes.
But yeah, they were the grandmother of everything. That was it. You had to be good enough to go to Showstoppers.
You bet. And so we did compete for the first 10 years and we did well. We won, several, and not that it was a matter to win, but I do remember doing really well and winning nationals and things like that. When if you won nationals, oh my God, if you even placed in national, you were so good back then. However, I did feel there was starting to be a change in the industry. I was taking any class. I didn't have a competition team. There was no such thing as a competition team. I would walk through the Tuesday tap class at 4:30, saw a bunch of kids, showing up every Tuesday. They looked like they were working hard. And I would say to their parents, hey, you want to go to competition? And that's how it was. We just everybody.
I'm laughing because it's so true. You're like, yeah, let's go to competition. The kids loved it. You loved it. Everybody had a great time.
Yep. Most of the times when we went to competition, if we had a hotel, I would always get an extra suite for the studio, and we would do like scavenger hunts and games. Like it was really more bonding. You would go to the competition, you would do your thing, but if you were done, you were done. It's not,
so funny. So funny.
So similar. So that's that. Then I saw that things started changing. And then one year, Showstoppers used to come to Trenton, New Jersey. You remember the War Memorial? Yes. And there was a renovation, and War Memorial was being renovated. So they changed the day of Showstoppers. And I said, and it was like Thanksgiving weekend or something. And I turned to my parents and go, do you really want to go to Thanksgiving? And they said, nah, we'll wait till the Nationals. So then Nationals comes, but we had very, very bad snow that year. So we had to extend our school year, and Nationals was starting like July 1st. And we were in school till like June 30th. So I turned to the parents and I go, I know we always go to Myrtle Beach for Nationals, but we're still in school the day before. What do you do? What do you want to do? And they go, then we won't go this year. I was shocked. I thought because we've been going for years and this is like a family event and the whole thing, I thought for sure that parents would miss competition, and nobody missed it. Nobody missed it. And the following year, when November came around, I go, do we really want to compete? Do we really want to go? Or should we switch? We were always performing, but like, should that be our focus? And I didn't lose one student. Now, occasionally I will say that students go through and they will like the ones that are really anxious and competitive, they will come to me and say, you know, I want to compete. And I'm like, go for it. And then they go to another studio and that's fine. But I've never lost business. If anything, I feel that's probably one of the reasons
you were quite robust with your enrollment through all the decades. So that was not a problem for you. Absolutely not.
So it was an accident, but really the truth was I was seeing a change in the industry. I was seeing these competition teams coming about. The very, very best were on these teams. So that means my Tuesdays 4:30 tap class with a little girl like this that kept coming every week.
Right.
That really deserved to try. But now they have like these novice, you know, different levels. They didn't have any of that back then.
No, they didn't.
Yeah. So I saw the trend. For me, it was not going to fit my my studio anymore, the way I wanted the studio to grow. What competition has done for the industry is crazy good. The technique, the amount of commitment, what I also see a lot of burnout. So it's that fine line. You know what I mean? There's a competition every weekend now. Back then it was like, you know, 3 of them.
There's 5 competitions every weekend.
So like there's
a while back.
Yeah. So I mean, it's doable for you. You could find which one fits your studio flavor. So it's just not my thing anymore. I admire it.
What do you like to take your kids to go do? Because I know you do a host of things.
We try to do something every month. And what I like about it is it's no commitment. It's not a team or a performance team or anything like that they have to go to do something in October, November, December. It's like, oh, October, we're going to do a thriller, you know, Halloween show down at the Keyport waterfront. So who could sign up for Halloween? They'll sign up for that. And then for Christmas, it's who wants to sign up for this, or for Easter, who wants to sign up for this. So it's
Halloween.
Yeah, exactly. It's never going to have to be a commitment because my kids come for usually one ballet class, one tap class, maybe one jazz class. My kids are not there hours and hours and hours. That's just not it. We're in a community. You know, my community is very, very into the social aspect of school, the scholarship aspect of school. You know, the kids are introduced to so much because it's of means. They're introduced to everything from horseback riding to cotillion. In the old days, for me, it used to be Girl Scouts and dance. Now, oh my God.
Then soccer a little bit came in, and then that was it. Yeah,
that was it. But that was it. But now there's just too much. There's so much. So we do try to dance somewhere, whether it's a big event. Every second year we do a big event, you know, the cruise or the Disney and let me tell you this, what I'm good at and I don't mind doing is I find a place that nobody's danced at and I figure out a way to dance, like Niagara Falls. I called up the Niagara Falls, you know, park commission across the street from the falls. And I go, I see this plot of land that I saw a little stage on. So 3 buses later, we're trekking up to Niagara Falls and dancing with the spray on our face. And it was a great experience. That's another thing. Dance is beyond steps, as you know, because you're a great educator too. It's experiences, it's relationships, it's and just
something for everybody.
Something.
Like you said, you know, you have kids who are only taking 1 or 2 hours a week, but they never miss and they love it. So to get a chance to go out and perform is like the best thing, you know. I mean, it's great. I love it.
I agree, and that's like National Dance Foundation, inclusion, community. Those are your keywords also, and kindness. I don't know about the kindness for me.
You're very kind.
Yeah, but the inclusion and community, that's been our motto, and I think old school teachers, that was always our motto. Like that's kind of what we did. Yeah,
it's interesting. Now, so we have the studio, Hedy, but we have now the seminar speaker, Hedy. You're quite well famous on the circuit. I know a lot. Everybody wants to know how you're running your recitals, how you're doing it. You're at Regal's Dance Life Teacher Conference. You're at Dance Teacher Web with Steve. You do Energizer. You're all over the place. So how do we make that little hop over? And why do you like speaking with dance teachers and studio owners?
The hop over was never intentional. I have to say,
those are always the best hopovers.
There you go. Because I don't claim to know it all. Sometimes I love to go on the West Coast and speak because they think so differently of us on the East Coast. And when I tell them I'm from New Jersey, I'm like the real Jersey. I'm a real housewife of New Jersey. I live at the Jersey Shore, and I married a soprano, and so I know. So it's so different over there. And I never claim, and I tell them I don't claim to be an expert. I just do what works for me. And I encourage you to do you. Like Dory says, you do you. You find your flavor. And it was an accident then I started speaking. Dance Teacher Summit was the first person that asked me to speak. I went on a panel with, of all people, Angela Devaldis Sirico. Right. And it was me and Angela. Like, I was a young studio owner, and I didn't know who this fabulous woman was. That
she's fabulous.
She's fabulous, and she. That people would ask us a question, and she would go properly, blah, blah, blah.
And the accent really goes a long way in every explanation.
Long way. As Nancy Stone says, you could say anything in an accent.
You could curse at you, but it's in a nice accent. So you're like, okay, thank you.
Yes, darling. Yes, darling. And that's how that started. And then I started going to Ree's seminars. Now, I remember when I was a young dance teacher, not even a studio owner, I would go to these big conferences in New York. And they were conferences where you would learn combinations. It really wasn't business conferences, except for Betty Hochter. Betty Hochter used to have a business conference. But you would get in the elevator. I was very I'm with these teachers that I knew from around the country. They were always in their fur coats, Kathy, always in their fur coats.
Amazing experiences.
Amazing experience. But we would get in the elevator, and we were just in the conference together, or in the workshop together, and they would have their noses straight to the door, and everybody, like, you were in the elevator like this. And I remember thinking as a young teacher saying, wow, we were just hanging out, like, not hanging, but we were all in the same experience, but nobody's talking, nobody shared. And I said two things I'll never forget. I go, someday I'm going to get a fur coat like them. And second of all, I will never treat a young studio owner this way. Not that they not snub, but they weren't rude, but they just were not welcoming.
They just didn't notice you.
They were not welcoming. And I, from the very beginning, I was very happy to share, very happy to ask. I feel like when you're confident in what you're doing, you don't mind sharing.
Correct.
You don't mind, it's the ones that are a little insecure, when really everybody really knows what to do. We really know what to do.
Sharing makes you more confident, so you like to share more. So it's kind of like it goes a full circle. So it's interesting.
So I guess they just found that I was willing to share, and I'm not saying I'm a home run on a lot of things. There's I'm still learning. As it's funny, our studio's 36, and just the way we want our students to always be growing in their technique and growing in their their work ethic, always growing. Our studio is still always growing, always learning. We're learning all the time. It's 36 years. I'm not even running my business the same way as I did 3 years ago.
And you know what? That's an interesting point, because my next question was going to be, what do you find the difference from what you were teaching a couple of years ago, let alone before COVID, to what they're looking forward to hearing from you today?
Right. When I first started on the speaking circuit, there was very little internet. And as you know, I am not a social media person at all. So you very rarely find me on there. Somebody has to tell me to go on or whatever. But nowadays, everything is at your fingertips. What I used to call the Barnes & Noble generation, you would be able to go to Barnes & Noble, open up a book and say how to run a business. Right. Now is you don't even have to go to Barnes & Noble. It's right here. So the information is out there. What I think that I can offer is the experience that of opening a business, the trials and tribulations, this works, this didn't work, and then make it your own, then take it in and adapt it. Because these young teachers, they're on it with all this other stuff, like the social and the Google this and that's not my thing. That's, thank God, that's Liza's thing. But the experience. And our business, everybody teaches a plie.
Correct.
The number one reason that people come to dance studios, do you know the number one reason?
Location?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And no, sorry, the number one reason is convenience.
Oh.
Okay. Location, it's right there too. We're not convenient. There's a dance studio on every corner. Why is that family going to ride past that one to get to you? Word of mouth. Word of mouth has to be word of mouth. So whether it's social or in the community at the basketball games or at the cheerleading things or Girl Scout meetings, where are you going to dance school? Blah, 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 blah. So all the actual mechanics of running a studio could be found online. The things that I think that sometimes an in-person speaker can help you is experience.
I agree, because it's interesting because the more things change, the more things they stay the same. They're going to come up against some of the same issues you've already experienced, but maybe just in a little slightly different way. But basically, the way to overcome it and the answer to it is the same. So
Yeah.
that's so interesting.
Very true. Yes. Well, and then whenever we go to conferences, I still, I learn every single day. I'm learning something. Whenever I go to a conference, I come back with my book.
I love
it's loaded because, yeah, I know it reinforces. Or you go, oh yeah, that happened. And oh, how did I handle that when it happened 5 years ago? I don't remember. Or, oh, I used to do that. Why did I stop doing that at my studio? Or whatever it is, we have to hear it many, many times. When things work, we don't want to change, even though right now, because of COVID, not even because of COVID, but just because of life after COVID, so much has changed. The business has changed. The teachers have changed. The kids have changed, the parents have changed, and the
parents are now, when you first started, the parents were like, I've always wanted my kid to take dance class, and they brought their child to dance class. Now the parent who's bringing their kid to dance class has spent many years in dance class. So it's a different customer that you have too, on top of everything else. So this is your second and your third generation of
I know, it's scary. It's third. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. That's a big factor too. I also feel that the world has changed, that after we went through what we went through, the priorities of a family are keep my family happy and safe. That's all that matters, happy and safe. So it's hard for them to toe the line at your studio because that doesn't work for me. Oh yeah, no, that's not in my family schedule. Oh no, we have dinner at 5:30. There's no way, like that. More so than ever, it's to the pleasure of the family. And I understand why. I do understand why.
I get it too. But that is a big challenge. It's funny, through all of this, and you're constantly growing and changing, as you say, you have a Tuesday night Dance Friends Zoom chat, Tuesday at 9:00. So for those dance teachers, they're usually just getting home at that time. Everybody can have their coffee or their glass of wine or what else. So tell me why you started that. And as we just talked before, that's 4 years now, which is mind-boggling. Why you started that and how it continues to go on.
It's mind-boggling. It is 9:30 at night because a lot of teachers are working till 9. So what happened was when we got closed down March 13th, I called up 5 of my, and I didn't even know how to Zoom back then. I was like, yeah, I had to learn how to Zoom, and I called my girlfriends up and I go, there's this thing Zoom, let's try to do this. I have 5 girlfriends from across the country that have studios. And we went on and we were just talking about, what are we going to do for the next 2 weeks?
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks later.
Next week. So I said, oh, we're gonna have a game. So every time we say this word, we're gonna take a drink, and whatever you're drinking, if it's your beverage of choice. And then the next week we met, and then the next week we met, and then people started adding their friends, and then before you knew it, it was this, and now it's guests and blah blah blah. So yes, every Tuesday night at 9:30, it's free. It's open to everybody, studio owners from around the country, and literally we have them from Canada, weekly, and it's either an open topic once a month, sorry, or we have guests on that promote us to talk. And it's everything about how do you work a hiring process, or what is your latest syllabus? What are you doing to update your syllabus? Or how did you do we just had, last week was your war stories and your triumphs at your showtime. And it's hysterical because we all have a quick war story, and then you have that other side. So it was lots of laughs. But
so what's your favorite war story? We have to ask, what's your favorite war story?
This year, my war story was this little girl. Her sister and her were in two separate shows. We couldn't get them in together. And the mother, she was late for check-in, the younger one. I'm sorry, the older one. And we called and said, we need her here. And they go, we can't find her costume. We go, we have your costume because you had your costume. You had it at dress rehearsal. You got to get here. Come on, get the costume on, get it in here. She shows up and she's wearing her little sister's costume from the show before. Wrong routine. First of all, I don't even know how she got into it because she's like 12 and the sister's 4, but she got it on. And I think the mother just said, she's in a costume. Let her go with her class. Yeah, just let her go.
What did you do? Did you let her dance with her class?
Well, luckily we have 4 shows. So we were able to get another costume right then and there, like just calling up another kid that was in a show and get it in. And there's always a solution. It's just, do you need that ajita? Now we're laughing at it, but it was like a moment.
It was serious business. But isn't that funny? She's just in a costume. It's okay. I can't tell you that's a common war story.
Yeah,
common. I wish it wasn't, but that's a common war story. So
that's the first time that happened to us in 30-something years. We were shocked. Oh yeah, it's just a costume. Nobody will notice.
That's so funny. So years ago, so just to let you know, we have, as the NDF board has discussed and decided, and we've gotten a lot of feedback from everybody that April was always very difficult to do National Dance Week. So we've moved it to the beginning of October to start your year off well, bring a friend to class, teach the dance mob, whole bunch of fun stuff. It's going to be October 4th through 13th. But back in April, you were fabulous, and 2 years in a row, you did the dance mob on the boardwalk, which was a big deal, Belmar Boardwalk. How did the kids enjoy that, and why did you think it was important to get out there? And I mean, it didn't come without its challenges, I know, especially the rain year, to get out there and to do that activity.
I agree. And I'm glad you changed it to October. I think it's going to be wonderful for the studios.
Much better.
Much better, the timing of the year. We've always been out in the community, and a lot of people don't even know there is a dance week.
I know.
And they don't, but to promote that, what dance can do in your community, the faces, the smiles, the getting out there in the fresh air, or come see, you could do this weekly at our studio. It just promotes the activity of dance, just like everything else is an activity for people in our area. The dance could be this. Our kids love doing the boardwalk thing. The challenge is always to get the venue properly.
I know.
Not too many people in higher ups understand the importance of that. But we need space to do what we do because we're dancers. But that was super cool going down the boardwalk. That was really
that was. We have some great pictures, and even in the rain, some great memories of that.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to October because I'm gonna think of something fun that we could do to make the awareness, and that's a perfect time.
It is, because we did it because we figured everybody start your dance year off with a celebration. It's that time where everything can be celebrating, get things going. There's a lot of fun activities. So we thought long and hard about it, but it was a unanimous vote with the board. So for everybody who doesn't know, National Dance Foundation is a 501c3. So everything is run and agreed on a board of directors. And they were all very excited about that. So it worked out good. But why would you think this we do the hashtag KIC, kindness, inclusion, and community. Why is that important to bring that kind of culture into your studio, and especially for young kids to be aware of this today?
Totally. The inclusion part, like I said from the very beginning, I wanted everyone to be able to find their piece and their place at dance. Not, you don't have to have your legs sticking up over your head and spinning 5 times. You love to dance. You deserve to be there. You deserve to feel welcome. And we love that. That your message is our message. And I love that's
And that's an important thing what you say, because usually when people talk about inclusion, which it can but doesn't have to be limited to those with learning disabilities or special needs, but those aren't the only ones. It's still that everyone should have a chance to dance. When we do our NBA performances, those are not necessarily your girls out there, like you say, that can reach the leg over the head, but they come to class every week. And now they get to perform, and their dad's all excited because they're on an NBA court. It's got to be for everybody. The good dancers, the okay dancers, and the I just love to dance, but I have no natural rhythm. It's for that person also. So that is
I'm 150,000% with you. And we did have a special needs program in our studio for several years, but I just found that the parents, after COVID, the parents want their children integrated more.
correct.
They don't have that special class, and we're doing a pretty good job with that. It is a little challenge. That's something we're going to be working on even more. But the inclusion is for everybody. That little girl that is very shy, maybe is not having a good time at school, and this is where she could, flourish or just be herself. Those teenagers that are in that terrible awkwardness state, that may be having home problems or what they perceive as home problems, but this is their safe place. Totally. I'm all in for that. And community, totally.
Yeah, especially you. I'm always going to see that movie now, or think of that movie, or if I see that title, I'm going to think of you and your studio, because you really have Holiday Inn really have run it that way, which is just amazing to me, and I appreciate it even more. So funny, so funny.
Great.
Well, I want to thank you so much. I truly appreciate having you here. Appreciate your friendship over the many years and all of that. And I know I will see you popping around the circuit and at UDMA hopefully soon. Any final comments before we go?
Well, I just think that what you're doing and just keeping National Dance Week, National Dance Foundation, how much you've grown it is so good, because the newer studios a lot of the newer studio owners aren't even aware of different organizations. They're not even aware of conferences. They're not aware of NDF. They're not even aware of UDMA. I go and speak on the West Coast and I go, oh, UDMA is coming. And they go, whoa. So I'm always, there's resources out there for new studio owners. And if you're a new studio owner, don't be worried about it, because we're all here to help you, like you said, get through those bumps or just to guide you. So I think that new studio owners should take advantage of all NDF can do, or UDMA can do, or experienced dance teachers and like yourself can do. So that's my
nice community. If you let it, there's a community there that is very inclusive. The more you give into that community, the more, like anything else, the more you'll get out of it.
Totally. If anybody wants to come on the Tuesday 9:30 Zoom, you're more than welcome. All you have to do is email me, and I send you the link the Monday night before the Tuesday. So,
and what's that email address?
Oh, I'm the last person on AOL, Kathy. First and last, dancelady22@aol.com.
And I can tell you from experience, it's a great time. So definitely join.
Yes, you're due to come on soon. You're due to come on, and you could talk about whatever you'd like to talk about, especially the change of the time for National Dance Week, to remind everybody to put that on their October
calendar. It is big, which is big. So thank you. Well, thank you again, Hedy. As always, I just always enjoy your company. It's been such a nice pleasure. And I want to thank everyone for joining in for another episode of Inside NDF, which will be airing Fridays at same time here at noon Eastern time. If you'd like more information, we've been talking a lot about National Dance Foundation. If you'd like more information, you can visit us at nationaldancefoundation.org. So thank you so much. And we're going to get ready and say our goodbyes. And as we do, Always remember, keep dancing. Thank you, everybody. Thank
Bye,
you.
Kathy. Thank you, everyone.